Welcome to Pharmageddon USA. It's on the 14th and 15th of April in Philadelphia in Billy Penn Studios. So Pharmageddon is a very different kind of event. Part one is the meteorite has hit. Part two is adaptation. We're in a new environment. The old model won't survive. Time to adapt and make the most of the new opportunities. And then part three is beyond the impact zone. The map has been redrawn and the ground has shifted for good. Well, a meteorite has really hit the industry, but when we rebuild it, how can we evolve? We become better as an industry. It's about challenging the status quo. I think your job's going to be the same in a few years' time. We don't think that.
People could anticipate a real shaping of the future.
To stoke a good debate. Death of the pharma dinosaurs. As anyone knows that knows Impatient, we believe it's a very young industry that's got into some very old habits. Yes, we have panel sessions, but they lead into our unique solve sessions.
Everything has shifted. It's no longer theory. It's actually happened. But in this frame that we sit in, there's a lot of uncertainty that has come forward. But to me, that also means there's a lot of opportunity.
Make sure patients are represented and part of the discussion and brought in from the grassroots. When we have a look, you can always drop me a line. My email is all over that website. We will happily welcome you. We are purposefully small. The way it is designed, the event, everybody gets their say. B2B, B2C, AI, there's a lot there that we will be discussing, but we're also going to go into something a little bit different to maybe, open people's minds a little bit.
Well, hello. Welcome to the next episode of IPZO Facto podcast. I'm your host, Zena Manji, and I am thrilled to have back on stage with me today, Lucy Osborne. Lucy is leading the Pharmageddon event by Impatient Health coming up in April of 2026. That's April 14th to 15th. And you may, if you're a watcher of the podcast, you may recall that episodes 1 and 2 also involved the Pharmageddon event. And I was so thrilled to launch this podcast with the Pharmageddon event there in 2025. So I'm thrilled to have Lucy back on stage here to talk to us about what has changed and what's Pharmageddon 2026 all about. So Lucy, maybe if you could give a brief background again for people who are new to the podcast, and we'll start to get going. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be back, Zena, and on the podcast again. I'm the Director of Community and Events at Impatient Health. And I've been here from the beginning of Pharmageddon USA, as has Zena, actually. She was in the first ever iteration that we did in New York some time ago. So we're very excited to be back in Philly this year. And yes, it's all great and very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's coming up. And of course, a lot has happened in 2025. And certainly a lot more has happened since the inaugural Pharmageddon event in USA, which was in 2024, as you mentioned, in New York. So let's just start grounding folks who are new to Pharmageddon. So for those who don't know what Pharmageddon is, everyone always comments that what an interesting title, what an interesting brand. It does lend a lot of curiosity. So, what's that all about, Lucy?
So Pharmageddon is a very different kind of event. It was born out of exasperation for the way these kind of industry events are being led currently and have been in the past. We don't want people to sit on their hands and just listen to people talk. This is a roll your sleeves up, very immersive event. Yes, we have panel sessions, but they lead into our unique solve sessions, which is, if you can imagine a giant workshop, you are working on different activities where we'll put you into different worlds, or we will create something very immersive where with your peers of people from all different companies and from the industry, and you will work those problems out together. And so throughout the 2 days, you will really get to know the people in the room. This isn't a matter of like, oh, you sit on your hands and you watch someone on a panel and then you go to networking drinks. You are going through a transformation and a journey with these people over the 2 days. We've had so much feedback over the previous Pharmageddons that people have made really long lasting working friendships and business relationships from this event just because of the way it's formatted. It's about challenging the status quo. It's about finding your people. As we say, the home of the weirdos or the home of the disruptors. We want to create a safe space so that disruption and innovation can really flow and people can feel comfortable talking about things that they want to change in the industry.
Yeah, that's such a nice description. That's fantastic, Lucy. And I really felt that as well. That vibe that you mentioned in prior events. Um, and it is interesting because you're walking into a different type of space, as you say. It's not a conference actually. Call it an event, but oftentimes you refer to it as the unconference.
The
the,
anti-conference
the
conference.
anti-conference, yeah, exactly. And it really is that. So people who are coming into it, I think, will um, know what to expect. This is put your guard down, right? Be open and lean in conversation fully on, well, things actually need to change. So let's discuss how. And you mentioned that people in the room and the relationships, that really it does take all of us because there's an ecosystem here in which we all operate, right?
Absolutely. And I think it was so interesting because I remember when we first met Zena and we were discussing
Yeah.
um, regulatory and how people blame innovation not going forward on regulatory, which I know is something that you always talk out upon. And I was like, this is the person I want in the room because we're going to make sure that people can't blame regulatory. So we make sure the ecosystem that people are in, we have people from all different parts of that industry so that we can challenge it. We can't use the same old excuses when we're trying to figure out a problem. And we can hear it from different people's perspectives. So yeah, I think as you go through the process of the 2 days, you start to find your people and also get to have really great answers to why the frustrations are happening in your company and those companies are doing it differently, and what should we take from that and what are the learnings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where people who are leaders can talk to each other about, well, how are other people solving this problem, right?
Exactly.
Because the problems are common to us all, let's face it, right? um, the actual particulars of the drug products are really uh, not in focus here. It's really about, well, how are we individually as companies and as professionals uh, changing on what needs to be changed and identifying those problems to solve. But it's one thing to identify problems to solve. It's quite another thing to actually implement solutions. And I think this is where the challenging conversations occur, right? And I remember last year someone actually standing up in the middle of the conversations to say, you know what, wait, we're not challenging each other enough. If you think your jobs are going to be the same in 5 years or less, I don't know what you're smoking, right? That's pretty much the gist of the thing. So let's get real. Um, this needs to shift, and it needs to shift now. Of course, for patients, but also it's not a place you're going to be comfortable if you're still going to be doing the same thing. So this is really going to impact all of us. And we have to ensure that we're developing and we're producing what is fit for purpose for the patient, that creates the best ecosystem in which we can all thrive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Pharmageddon seems sometimes quite radical, I think, to outsiders. People can be like, oh, they must just talk about crazy stuff. And actually, it's very realistic. We are saying things that we believe are true. If you do think your job's going to be the same in a few years' time, we don't think that way. And that's why we have an event like this, because we feel like we have to keep adapting and innovating and changing to the landscape. Otherwise, people will get left behind completely.
Yeah. So it's a great segue there, Lucy, about landscape. I know Pharmageddon also takes place in Europe, and globally, we are having a much different landscape than uh, when I first met you in 2024, both domestically here in the US, as well as in Europe, as well as geopolitical. So much has shifted. And one could say, I think, that the impatient health and Pharmageddon movement, to me, it's a movement, was prophetic. That we can, the best way to secure yourself in adaptation and to be agile is to keep acknowledging what's in front of you, as opposed to ignoring it and thinking that, well, it'll get solved somehow, because we're actually the people who need to solve this, not someone else. And I think that's really come in front of us now this year. So how do you feel Pharmageddon is different this year? I know you've used a throughout the events, the series, you have kind of visualized or changed the theme, the visuals associated, and this time talking about being right, bold and right up front. This is not theory. It never was theory, but now the facts show that Pharmageddon is not theory. It's actually occurred. And you've got a great visual on that. Do you want to talk about how you ideated or felt that this is the theme for this year? And at the same time, and people can look at the prior podcasts, episodes 1 and 2, that talk more about your process, about how you form the event and everything, which is really quite interesting. I think remains there on how, yes, you're forming the event, but you also want to make it very pertinent and very timely. So there is some flow and agility in how you bring things together up until the event that happens. Not sure how you do it, but there's some magic there, I think, how you just pull it all together with the right people. But uh, this year in particular, what kind of led you to form the event this year? What's been driving you, and how did that lead to that visual that you've created?
Yeah, it's we are adapting always. Actually, the events change. We are constantly testing things, and especially our solve sessions. Things that work, we adapt upon. Things that don't work, sometimes we'll just cull. And the main way in which we've changed building the agenda this time is a lot of the times we've thought, what do people want to
Mm.
hear? What do people want to speak about? What interests them the most? And we take that from our insights and research and other things that we learn along the way. However, this time we're coming at things as like, what do people want to learn? What is the tangible solutions that people can walk away with? So you can have the big ideas, and those big conversations are really important. And that's Pharmageddon is all about. Let's have those big conversations and big ideas, but also what do people really want to take away from them that they can implement the next day? And we made that much more of we just really made that more important when we were adapting the agenda this year. And then also we got to have some fun with the theme. So the theme is a meteorite has hit healthcare, and then we've been able to be playful with that. The death of the pharma dinosaurs, as anyone knows that knows Impatient, we believe it's a very young industry that's got into some very old habits. It's about breaking those down, and what would it look like if well, a meteorite has really hit the industry, but in terms of what we're looking at is how can we rebuild it, how can we evolve so that we become better as an industry.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, constant adaptation is needed. And I think clearly this year, for me coming into Pharmageddon, uh, it's that everything has shifted. It's no longer theory. It's actually happened. But in this frame that we sit in, there's a lot of uncertainty that has come forward. But to me, that also means there's a lot of opportunity, right? And to your point of your earlier point of using old mechanisms to in how pharma is organized and how we work, uh, it's clear that that is just not sustainable, and companies are already shifting what they're doing and how they're working, how they're developing, how they're engaging within the ecosystem as well, and how they look at approvals and the approval process and reimbursement, et cetera, and patient care. So another big point of Pharmageddon is you also have patient advocates that are in the room as well. Do you want to talk a little bit more about those? I think you have a few coming this year.
Yes, absolutely. They're an absolutely important part of the event. We have to make sure patients are represented and part of the discussion and brought in from the grassroots when we're having these. When we're going through these activities, it's important that we have patients on those tables. So yeah, we have new advocates that we're bringing in every year, but we also have some incredible people that we've had throughout the years. So the Rathkoffs, that are incredible visual storytellers and patients themselves and caregivers. So they will be showing their photography again, I hope, at this event. And they've introduced me to other visual storytellers who are also patients who are attending through the Rathkops. And then we have Sabina coming back, who I know was on your podcast, and she's coming back as a facilitator this year, which we are hugely appreciative of. And I think it just goes to show that it just is a growing community. People feel it is a safe space where they can be themselves and talk about their frustrations, and they want to come back year after year and build on those relationships. So yeah, I feel it's kind of proof that we're on the right track, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Rothkopfs have an amazing visual story that they put up, and we often get so tied up in the development and the timelines and all of these things that occur, even when we're working with patients to develop products for them and to solve problems and sustain life as well, and treat and cure, hopefully, in the best way possible. But when you see those stories, there's something that comes through that, words are just not are often not well enough to describe. And I think when you see the visuals, you really get pulled into a firsthand type of experience that you're witnessing what's happening. And yeah, I think hats off. That is just an incredible exhibition that they put together.
Yeah, they're incredibly talented, and I can see they are working with. They've created the Patient Caregivers Artists Coalition, and that is also someone from that is also coming to Pharmageddon, and we're hoping to build on events with them and create a safe patient caregiver artist space, which will become hopefully a part of Pharmageddon. This is all part of the dream of where this could go, because it doesn't have to just be about, oh, an advocate's coming and we're going to put them on stage, and aren't we
Yeah.
good because we've got an advocate there? We want them to be an intrinsic part of the event.
Yeah, that's really lovely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's
Yeah.
evolved. That sounds fantastic. And certainly, yes, with my podcast with Spina, I think it was episode 9. We'll link it here somewhere. You'll learn a lot about how she is involved with pharma in their development and having a seat at the table,
Yeah.
which is really quite interesting. Um, so yeah, look, we'll include all of this information in the show notes here so that everyone you'll be able to follow through should you wish. And so when we are, you came out of Pharmageddon Europe in 2025, and now coming into Pharmageddon USA 2026, and you're leading the USA, the Pharmageddon USA events. How is there anything that you have seen that's common and different between the two, uh, let's say, regional
Oh, yes. So I would
events?
say there are similar frustrations both sides of the pond, and you do see similar themes coming up, and similar things that people want to talk about and find solutions to, definitely. But also, we would never produce an agenda for Europe that was the same as the US because
Yeah,
you have to be specific, especially to the US for that region, and understanding what people really need to talk about. And yet Europe has its own vibe, and it's still got that energy, the Pharmageddon energy. But I sometimes feel like the US not needs it more, but there's more of an urgency and a feeling of camaraderie when we go to the US and create this event.
yeah. It's interesting culturally as well. I think, and how much people are willing to be blunt and just say it as it is.
Yeah.
There's
Last year in particular, I felt there were so many moments which felt a bit like whiplash. I was like, "Whoa, did that just happen?" And we talked about some really quite not radical, but just very direct things. People felt that they could be blunt and be realistic. And there didn't seem to be any dancing around topics at all. We had we keep everything very interactive, as you know. So now the whole paddles, we started using those as part of the Oxford style debate. Well, we're not
yeah,
going to do the Oxford style debate this year because we feel it maybe didn't quite hit the right mark. But what we are doing is keeping the paddles, because the way we can interact with everybody in the room, they can all have their say. You can take a quick litmus test. If somebody stands up and is talking about something, you can say, do all of you agree with this? And take a quick test around the room as to whether people do. So we are we are always looking for the input of everybody else. We are purposefully small,
Yeah.
Obviously, with time, we hope our community of disruptors grows and grows and grows. But the way an event like Pharmageddon works is it has to be small to start with so that we can take these groups and work well. So, yeah, we keep it to under 200 in the US at the moment. Europe is going a little bit higher and higher. But yeah, in the US, we're keeping it small on purpose.
Yeah, and I really love that. And this is another way that it is different. Uh, it is not your typical conference. It's not a conference, but I think where you have a curated uh, agenda, a curated audience who are disruptors, are coming to lend their voice and their ideas and strategies and insights to what the problems that are facing the industry and the possible solutions, maybe some things that people have tried, and having that open dialogue within a safe space and a smaller space, I think really lends itself to, like you were saying, about the relationship building.
Yeah.
uh, you get a chance to talk to everybody. And what I really love is the inclusivity, as you mentioned, because even if you're loud and not being derogatory here, but if you're extreme, let's put it this way: if you are bubbling with passion and you've got something to say, step up and say it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you'll get the chance to say it over and over again, and even if you're a bit shy, we'll probably make you say something too. And, that is also the other thing about Pharmageddon is to be to be honest, we make people work. This
Yeah.
isn't a jolly. To get what you really want out of an event like this, you do have to really give it. You get what you give at an event like this, and that's why it's so interactive. Yes, if it was all panel sessions where everyone just sat there listening, you could walk in and out and do what you
Yeah.
usually do at these large conferences. But it's not like that. You have to get involved and be part of the movement.
Yeah,
Not easy.
absolutely. Yeah. And if you're a little bit on the quieter side, I think most people are who come to these events probably not quiet, but if you are maybe not as exuberant, let's say, uh, you are still participating actively
Yeah, absolutely.
in so many ways.
Yeah, because when you go into the smaller breakout workshop, it's a sort of like the solve sessions are almost like a giant workshop, and you go into your tables. Then, if you don't feel bold enough to say things to the entire room, you will then have a facilitator on that table who will make sure you're part of the conversation. So, if you really want to be part of the conversation, but you struggle in that aspect, Farmageddon's the perfect place because you'll definitely get your voice heard, but you don't have to be beating your chest and shouting from the back of the room. We're not going to make you go into the microphone. But the way it is designed, the event, everybody gets their say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's how this is different. It's very inclusive and diverse voices, diverse angles that come about.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, and we like a flat hierarchy as well. We're not
Mm,
kind of people that just go for the highest job title we can find and the big person with the most gravitas. We really are about getting the right people in the room, the people that will add the most to an event like this and that can lead the charge into a new pharma world.
yeah, imagine.
Yeah,
And that pharma world, I mean, it has to happen, right? Because as you say, the meteorite has hit.
exactly. It
We
happens.
need to rise from the ashes here.
Absolutely.
And there is a lot going for us writ large, right? Technology is advancing exponentially. So many tools are also the advancing the pace of change in technology is outpacing anything we've ever experienced before in humanity, right? I mean, the other, you look at the Industrial Revolution, the digital revolution, all of these things that we've seen now with AI, with quantum coming through as well. They say, I believe in the numbers might be much more aggressive now, but in the next 10 years, it's probably less than that. We will experience change hundreds of years worth, um, just in 10 years, maybe just in 5. I mean, the way that we relate to each other, the how we get treated, what kind of diseases we have, where we get treated, who's treating us, how, all of these things will be dramatically shifted. And so this is, I think, a in particular a pivotal year for Pharmageddon 2026, walking into this. And they, again, they say 2025 was like the last normal year. And here we are.
Yes, well, and we get a lot of feedback from people that attend all other events, and they're always like, "We've got AI panel fatigue, and everyone's just talking about AI." Well, you can't not talk about AI, but we do try to make it as interesting and engaging and different discussions as possible. We would be foolish to ignore it completely, because it's going to completely change the way that everybody operates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're still figuring that out and in how that will happen. But to that point, we have, it goes back to the agility and adaptation you talked about earlier. How are we going to shape healthcare with this advanced technology? How do we interact with it? How do we govern it? What type of insights do we take away from it? This is all part of our future. It's part of now, and embrace it. We've got to keep going and really make it advantageous. So, given all of this, and in episodes 1 and 2, we did talk about how you approach Pharmageddon last year. And we talked about the mindset and everything that it takes to shape an event like this. And so people can refer back there. But I'd like to get your take, Lucy, on this year. Well, what shifted for you this year in creating this event?
I think definitely the way that we look, first of all, like looking at things like what do people want to learn, that was the big shift in terms of just building the very foundations of the event. I also found that more people had heard of us, which is great, because and lots of really positive feedback and people coming forward. We always want to keep, we want to have our community keep coming back, and if they're great speakers, speak again. But also we want to keep evolving and having other speakers on. So I was quite surprised when I started this. Well, I pretty much got on this straight after the last Pharmageddon, and things have changed a lot since then. But I
Yeah.
was surprised at the people that, not surprised, but I was really pleasantly happy that people were coming forward and saying, "Oh, I'd love to speak next year, actually, and if you're doing a panel about this, that would be what I would be interested in speaking on." So the word has got out, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So now it seems like now what's shifted is that the ecosystem itself is coming into the creation, to the fold
Yeah.
of shaping Farmageddon.
And I won't bore you with the logistics of running an event, but I won't get into that because I feel everyone will turn off the podcast, but that has
Yeah.
changed. We learn a lot through every event that we do. It doesn't matter how many events you do in your lifetime. Each one is a learning moment. So yeah, definitely coming at everything. But we are staying in the same venue from last year, just because
Mm.
it was a really great space. We had so much space, but also it was so us, because as you know, the last place we would ever have an event would be, I won't mention any brand names, but in a
Conference rooms.
run hotel conference room. So to be at
Yeah.
Penn Studios again, we felt it was a natural fit. We loved the venue that we did in New York as well, but we've outgrown that. So yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
Billy Penn again for this year, which we're excited for them to be hosting us. But we're adjusting a lot of the ways in which we will operate in that space.
Wow, interesting. I can't wait to um, see how you've adjusted that. It was a fantastic venue.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I'd like to talk about give the audience a sense of the topics this year.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, and every year it's shifted a bit in terms of how the themes are organized and what we're focused on. We also have taken some. Uh, well, I've been pleased to work with you, Lucy, on suggesting some speakers and things, and trying to do my part to want to be part of this movement and how I could contribute and say, hey, how about this person? How about that person? And, thank you for your openness in dialoguing with me on that. And I think hopefully some of those people actually come through and be on stage. But let's go through kind of the agenda and anything you want to say about the types of speakers or conversations
Well,
that people
absolutely.
can anticipate.
I think I definitely have to say a massive thank you to you, because you haven't just suggested a few things. You've been an incredible part of this event. And I was telling Paul, our CEO, what an incredible job you're doing. So really, really appreciate all your work. You're a big part of Pharmageddon, and it's much appreciated. The way the agenda is at the moment, it's always, we can tweak it towards the ends, but we have our final version, and obviously we're starting off part one. The meteorite has hit, boom, and it's tearing through healthcare. And so Paul will do his keynote speech on that and set the scene of how the next 2 days is going to go. Now, before we had the 4 A's, if you remember, Zena, and that was what we based our agenda on. This agenda is in 3 parts based over the 3 days. So part one is the meteorite has hit. Part two is adaptation. We're in a new environment. The old model won't survive. Time to adapt and make the most of the new opportunities. And then on the second day, but we split part two between the 2 days. And then part three is beyond the impact zone. The map has been redrawn
Mm.
and the ground has shifted for good. So then this is how we've built out the agenda into the segments. And obviously between that, we have the panels, the solve sessions, so the fireside chats, and some other surprises for you as we go along.
Yeah, really, really fascinating. I think this inspires a lot of energy, a lot of curiosity, also a desire to engage. Right, it does fit that theme of Pharmageddon being actually a movement,
That's
and and what you just went through is kind of going right through that. It is a movement because we there are critical aspects we need to all move through together, and it sounds like with this agenda, uh, people could anticipate a real shaping of the
absolutely.
future.
Yeah, and it's definitely without hate to say it, but taking you on a journey. It's but it definitely is guiding you through, because we'll do the panel sessions, and this time we are, instead of having panel session solve, we're going to make it flow in, so that we'll have a panel that directly flows into the solve session, so that people have that food for thought from the panel to then take into the 1 hour of solve that they'll have after it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So people are going to be anchored in some facts, some situational awareness,
Yeah.
some insights.
maybe something a little bit out there that someone suggested. But yeah, we have some. We're talking about some different things as well, which we haven't talked about before at Pharmageddon. There's one panel in the first part, which is wellness and healthcare, friends or enemies.
Mm,
And we're talking specifically about the wellness industry and how it relates to pharma. What can we learn? What in
mm.
what ways are we not connected? And I think that's going to stoke a good debate, at least.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And I think several companies have taken different strategies there,
Yeah,
uh, right?
yeah, 100%.
Either to ignore completely or actually, to keep distinct, I should say, or to actually lean in and start to incorporate some aspects.
Yeah,
I think the reality is that, well, if you see things from a patient perspective, it's really a blur, right? The lines are blurred. Whether you're using a wellness product, a prescription product, a medical device, a remote patient monitoring, everything is in that patient's circle in terms of how they are uh, living with their disease or treating their disease, recovering from their disease, trying to prevent flare of their condition. Uh, and it really is that whole person health that I think you're probably alluding to here. Now, how does that relate to pharma and the pharma industry and the overall ecosystem? How do we all take that into account? And as you say, that will be an
yeah.
interesting conversation.
Who's embracing it? Who is saying absolutely not? The link between that and the weight loss, GLP-1s.
Mm,
It's there's some grey area that people get into. So I'm personally excited about that panel.
mm,
I think it will be an interesting one, and one that I haven't really seen done. But we're obviously going to hit the main topics as well that people really want to hear about, B2B, B2C, AI. There's a lot there that we will be discussing, but we're also going to go into something a little bit different to maybe open people's minds a little bit, especially before a good solve session where we need all your minds to be fully open.
yeah, so we don't want to give everything away here, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to shut up now, actually.
Keep some things mysterious and curate that curiosity
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
actually come and be part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so registration is still open, Lucy,
Yes,
or is open?
registration is open, and we are we are really open. If anyone wants to drop me an email to discuss the event, we want to make sure it's the right fit for people. We know it isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But here at Impatient, our doors are always open, and anyone that's willing to get weird with us, we're happy with that.
Yeah, I love the phrase, and I've used this before. In terms of disruptors, it's the island of misfit toys. You
Yeah,
may not feel that you fit. If you feel that you don't fit, right?
yeah,
Because you're a disruptor or you think differently. And this was for me. I'd be talking in the company when I still had my W-2 before I went independent. And you see those eyes glaze over
yeah.
when you bring some ideas or something that come. The eyes just glaze over, and you're like, huh, is it me or what's going on here? It wasn't until I came to Pharmageddon in 2024, to your point, Lucy, meeting your people.
Absolutely. And I think also, even if you want to be disruptive, but you don't know how, that's fine too. We can help give you your people. You can keep it in the room with us, or you can take it back. But I find being around genuinely innovative and early adopters encourages other people to be that way as well. I mean, it certainly encourages me. After
Yeah.
Pharmageddon, I'm always at my most disruptive, I feel.
Yeah, that's so true, right? So if you're on your disruptive journey or you uh, have that desire
Yeah, you're not quite
to,
there yet.
you're a disruptor,
Yeah,
uh, in aspiration, right?
yeah,
Um, that come to Pharmageddon and you will become a disruptor
yeah.
in the way that fits you. And you will have that ecosystem, that network of your tribe that's going to support you along the way.
I really like that. Your tribe. Yes, I feel that that's what Pharmageddon is.
Yeah. So welcome all disruptors in training.
Yeah, we understand that it is not for everybody out there, but if you think it's for you, look at the website, have a look. You can always drop me a line. My email is all over that website, and we will happily welcome you. Yeah, absolutely. Come
So
on.
we'll have, yeah, absolutely. So we'll have all this information in the show notes here and maybe linked up above somewhere as well. And so, Lucy, what as a creator of Pharmageddon, you gave birth to this from the beginning for the USA, which is, as you say, a very different animal to the other one, and inaugurated it here in the US, and how much it's transformed already in a relatively short time, although the world has changed 2 times over since then. But this year in particular, what do you how will you measure success?
I think we have some very interesting out of industry speakers coming, and I feel the integration of that. We've done it before, but not to this level. And I feel there's going to be a level of inspiration there. And I also feel the way we are really making the journey very visceral. Like people are really going to see the difference between the 2 days and the linking of the different topics. So for me, what I would see as success from Pharmageddon would be similar to last year, people talking about it, there being a buzz, people coming to me and asking to speak, and when can I sign up? When is the website ready? And also just growing that impatient community and making sure that we just keep the ball rolling and keep the momentum up. And we are looking at doing many more smaller events so that we don't become a
Hmm.
one-trick pony with Pharmageddon. So we're looking at doing one in New York soon, and just creating the buzz, keeping the buzz and keeping the ball rolling on disruption in the US, and being that safe space.
Wow, that's fantastic, Lucy. Really interested. I think folks, come, you will be inspired, and your curiosity will raise, your awareness will increase. especially with these outside thinkers, as you mentioned, very curious what that's all about. And come, I think you will have a very different experience than at any other event and be part of this movement and shaping. Sounds absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to see you there, Lucy.
Yeah, we can't wait to host you again, Zena. It's going to be fantastic. But let's let that be a warning to you. If you come to Pharmageddon, you never leave. This is it. We'll be back every year.
Yeah, and roll up your sleeves, right? Get
Yeah.
get right into it. And I'm so excited to hear because Pharmageddon once a year is not enough. We talked about the pace, moving and moving and moving. So I'm really happy to hear that there are some events in between that you're looking at.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, we need to. Yeah, like we say, just need to keep it connected and keep it growing. And we're also going to be doing more online events. So we'll do Pharmageddon the Reckoning, similar to what we did at Pharmageddon Europe, which is a few months afterwards, bringing everyone together online so that we can show exactly what we've implemented, how far along have we got with the solutions that we've come to, and did some of it completely fail, because we also
hmm.
celebrate the failures, because to fail means that you tried. So yeah, we're all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be in action, right? It's better than the alternative of not trying.
Yeah,
We don't move anywhere. We stay in one place.
we just live in fear.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we either live in fear or meanwhile the whole world is shifting around you. So you've got to move and adapt. So that's the big theme of the day here. Um, I really love the fact of the um, after event connections. So be assured when you come, we're not just part of the solve sessions and putting some ideas forward. There is some level of reconnection afterwards to be accountable as a movement, as a broader tribe, to see, as you say, what worked, what didn't work. Continue that conversation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's the other special part of this journey, is that it is a journey and it takes into account that it's a journey. It's not just a one event and everyone go off and do their own thing with their little postcards on what they're going to do differently. And they may or may
Exactly.
not do
Yeah.
it.
100%. And the other thing that we do is, at one point we bring the Pharmageddon Europe very impatient people VIPs in with the Pharmageddon USA VIPs, and create a broader conversation
Ah,
with people from the other side of the event. And we have had people cross over and go to
that's right.
different iterations, so in Europe as well, when we do it in Amsterdam, which is always wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of us are part of multinational companies, so makes sense to be engaged on both sides if you're able to. So this sounds absolutely wonderful, Lucy. So just repeat, if you can, the dates and how to register and what people can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Come to Pharmageddon USA. It's on the 14th and 15th of April in Philadelphia in Billy Penn Studios. Be prepared for a bit of disruption and to roll your sleeves up and get involved. We will put the link to the website here, so you can find me, and feel free to email me if you have any questions, and if you think this event might be for you.
Absolutely. And get ready to get uncomfortable, but also enjoy the journey.
I have to say as well, as a leaving note, it is a fun event. And if nothing else, you leave feeling that you had a very interesting and engaging few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Thank you again, Lucy. I started this podcast with Pharmageddon and so happy a year later to come back to this and be more engaged with Pharmageddon this year. Hope to continue that. It's been a joy uh, interacting with you and on this year in particular, and just can't wait for the event coming up. We hope to see many of you there. And as we said, do contact Lucy, and there will be opportunity for everyone to engage.
100%. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. Take care.
Thanks.